Hello, welcome into Tony Talks Trash about vinyl. Tonight I'm going to tackle the krautrock band Can. They're an experimental band formed in Cologne, Germany by Holger Zuke, Ermin Schmidt, and Michael Caroli and Jacques Liebezeit. And interestingly enough, they were the core quartet that stuck through the majority of the incarnations they had. Now, Zuke left for a short while, but the two big distinctions they had, and I guess they had three eras. First of which they had with the singer, an American who was in service at the time, African American gentleman by the name of Malcolm Mooney, formed a very interesting uh, relationship with the drums, and rhythmically they had these nice long pieces that were really like nothing else that you haven't heard. And then the tale and he served from 1968 to 1970, where he essentially was having some problems and decided to return back to America at the time. And after that, the fortuitous meeting on a cafe where Holger Zuke said the next guy that comes down is going to be our singer, kind of thing. Kind of like Zappa did with Martin Lickard, who played bass on 200 Motels after Jess Simmons walked out. So the next guy walking in is going to do it. And it was him, and he played. But anyway, in this situation, it was Demo, and he was like a street performer. And next thing you know, he's in the band, and he goes to the concert evidently that evening, scares the audience half to death, and was in the band and he had a job. He was in from 70 to 73. They certainly were pioneers. They're pioneers in many, many ways. Pioneers in recording their own stuff. They had their own studio, did a lot of editing, tape editing. Holger Zuke was even working in that capacity after he stopped playing bass for a short period of time with them, and noises and such. But Holger, of course, outside the band, Ermin has had a lot of soundtrack work, maybe more success than anybody else. Great solo records. Musk at Dusk is fantastic. I love a few songs of that. Holger Zuke's had a number of great collaborations and great solo work, a great number of them. Jackie Liebezeit has played in many, many things, including the Eurythmics and other places. And Michael Crowley, of course, had his stint. He did a solo record and did a combination record. But nevertheless, they blended all these different elements, and they came together, all the students of Karl-Heinz Stockhausen. They came together and formed some pretty bold and eventful things. Unbeknownst to me, who even managed a record store, I did not find out about these things, so they trickled in through Mute, and sometimes in the 80s. I found out, my God, what is this stuff? I got a hold of Tago Mago and Ege Bamyasi first, and took it from there. But anyway, I have most of these on vinyl. Surprisingly, there's a couple that I don't have. So I'm going to ask Joe to put up just a couple of these, but let's get started here. Before I get started, though, I think I should tell you the eras. You had the Malcolm Mooney era, then you had the era where you had Demo Suzuki. Demo left to become a Jehovah's Witness, I think, and marry a girl from Germany, I believe it was Germany, and left the band. And following that, Michael Caroli largely took over the vocals, and Ermin Schmidt did a little also. And that went for a while, and it worked pretty much till the end. And they added a couple players towards the end. They added a couple players from Traffic, Roscoe G, and who was the other guy they had also Rebop. I couldn't remember Kawaku Ba. So they also had vocals too. Roscoe, that was the one, and they wrote some songs. And some of the songs weren't bad. We'll get to that in a little while, but that's really what happened. Then they got back for a little reunion for a while, and for one record, Malcolm Mooney came back and sang, and we'll talk about that for a moment. But let's talk about these records, and the first one I'm going to go to is, unfortunately, 1978's really kind of rudderless record, Out of Reach. And in fact, this was so rudderless that I think that the band, even on the reissue campaigns at the end, kind of deleted this. This record was something that was not something that was very well looked upon. You had Jackie on most of this, but the truth of it is Roscoe and Rebop kind of drove the ship on this more than others. Pauper's Daughter and I, November, Serpentine, One More Day, Like an Obi God. Really, as far as the record goes, this is about as low as it got. A lot of percussion, a lot of things threatening to happen, but unfortunately, like a lot of these records go from here, nothing happens. So when they say out of reach, I think they're really talking about they're trying to get something that they didn't have. No Hogerzuke on that record. That's pretty notable here. So that is my. How many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have exactly 13 records, and so we're going to go to number 12 now. One that is simply called Can. And this record was from 1978 as well. This is the first of the bunch here, where Zuke kind of faded off. Zuke was gone in this. You've got the same lineup that you had before. All Gates Open is a decent track. Sunday Jam is okay. Ping Pong can be not bad. Of course, the can, that's the big joke. Haha, but they didn't do much. They didn't do much with that. That's where I would put this one. I would put this one at number 12, 2.5 stars. Now let's get to the reunion record, the record that is what I consider to be an interesting record because of the sound. Sounds completely different. It sounds like Michael Caroli has a little bit more to do with the sound of this. I like the sound of the guitar on this. This is the rare, and at this point, right time. This is the one, the reunion record. They got back together, Malcolm Mooney, recalling other things other than his uh, time in the band, but reflecting on some of this because he's got this song, Below This Level, and Patience song, which is really about a psychiatric thing. And as you may or may not know, I mean, he really left. He had a couple of psychiatric episodes towards the end of the band when he was in it, one of which he just went on this repetition. People were going from floor to floor. But it's not a bad record. It's got On the Beautiful Side of a Romance. It's kind of drifting off. I don't hear Zuke much on this. Give the Drummer Some's okay. Hola, hola. Kind of like little fun, little percussive things, moving right along the same way. There's a lot of propulsive, percussion-y type of songs where Hogerzuke will blast in a little bit of French horn or something here or there, but there's really not that much. You know, the bass playing's interesting because he's playing it. He's back to playing it again, but nevertheless, I would say that Right Time, for the most part, was something you knew that couldn't last. I'm going to call it 3 stars, 1989. Let's go to what really isn't a record. Let's go to, let me see if I have it here. Yeah, let's go to soundtracks here. Deadlock, Cream, Bottom, Deep End. Some of these were porno things, let's be real about it. I mean, She Brings the Rain, that's a big hit on this. You kind of know what that's about. But this is Can't Making a Living playing music. There's an interesting picture there in the back. It's Damo was in the band at that point. Nice photos here from some of the films. Ermin Schmidt did the same thing here. Deadlock's great on it. Both the Deadlock things. Don't Turn the Light On, Leave Me Alone. Kind of scary things. Soul Desert's decent. Mother Sky, of course, was a long thing and actually something that they're very well known for. As you can see here, Hoger sitting on the ground, lounging. So they are edging their way towards that magical time in 1972 where everything they did would be gold. That's my number 10. Number 9, I do not have on record, but I do have, believe it or not, I'm going to show you. I don't like doing this, but I'm going to show you to it on CD. And I know the reason I don't have it because I didn't buy this one record. Dizzy Dizzy. Splash. This is post Exitos, both the two singers. This is when Michael Caroli was doing the vocals on 1 and 4. Ermin Schmidt was doing it on Comes Se La Luna. We got Splash, which is nice. Quantum Physics, I'm lost in it. Chain Reaction, I'm lost in it. The sound of this record. What is it about the sound of Soon Over Babaluna? I hear so many people say it is a reflection. It is like Future Days, and I don't buy that at all. It sounds to me like they're going for the Future Days effect, but it sounds like they're trying hard to get there. Future Days was organic. Future Days, even though it had electronic sheen, it had beautiful finishing to it, and it's spacious, and all the gorgeous tunes here. Bel Air and such. And we're not talking about that one yet. But this sounds like it. Actually, quantum physics and chain reaction splash. Some of these sound like they're somewhat imitated that. They always have to me. I've tried to like this record. I'm not crazy about it. It's probably my least favorite of all the modern ones. You know, the ones in the zone. 1974, Soon Over Babaluma at number 9, 3 stars. So now I'm going to go to 3.5 stars. And this is one that people say, well, maybe it shouldn't count because it was released after the fact, but it was released during the tenure of the band. So we are going to count it. We're going to count the late 1968. This record was put out a long time, but this was recorded in 1968 and 1969. This is new material. This is the original band. This is Ermin Schmidt, Michael Caroli, Malcolm Mooney, Holger Zuke, and even a gentleman by the name of David Johnson was in the band for a short while. Picture of him here anyway. But on this, it just has the credits for Zuke, Caroli, Liebezeit, Schmidt, and Mooney. And you've got Butterfly, Noom, 19th Century Man, which is somewhat reminds me, just not just because of the title, but the way of this. Some of these things that Beefheart pounded out. There's a similarity to some of those stuff, like the Mirror Man era and some of the stuff that Malcolm Mooney did with the repetition here. Thief, Man Named Joe is great. Malcolm's great with that. Uphill. Little Star Bethlehem's decent. That's not one of my favorite on here, but Noom, Butterfly, Man Named Joe, Uphill. Great record, 1968. Love it, like it a lot, like it well, as they say. And that is my number 8, and I would rate that 3.5 stars. Now we go to where one of the more difficult things for me to talk about here, and that's the vocals. And I think if there's one record where the vocals were let everybody down, that was the 19 Virgin records, I think it was. Was it originally Virgin? I don't remember what it was from. But it is the Sleek Can from Landed. They really got into the glam of the situation. You see the picture here in the back of Michael Caroli. Michael really wanted to take a step forward with this record. Michael was the lead singer on many of these songs. Full Moon on the Highway, of course, Ermin did that. Half Past One, Hunters and Collectors was totally Caroli. Frontal Equinox, Red Hot Indians, Unfinished, 1320. I just don't think Unfinished is good. Red Hot Indians isn't bad. The first side, I don't mind it as much as the second side is a little bit unfocused. Unfinished is probably better than Red Hot Indians, but it's an interesting record. It's interesting, but vocally, I would say it's not really happening. I would say it's probably on about another thing that one of the other ones that is yet to follow is going to follow kind of in the same footsteps. But Can Landed, I think they're a little bit down from that. It's still number 7. It's a great record to listen to. It's innovative. But again, I think they're a little bit let down in the vocal department in that record. And I think it's kind of hard for me to listen, and it's always been hard for me to listen to these ones after Damo left the band. Because I just think none of the guys, even though they tried, they gave it their best. I just don't think they really had the vocals as well. I never really put the emphasis on the vocals near as much as it was when those guys were in. Nevertheless, let's move on to the really good stuff. Number 6, I'm going to talk about the Mystical Saw Delight. This is a record a lot of times it doesn't get a lot of love, a lot of praise. I like the record a whole lot. Of course, there's an inside here. There's a picture of the can. Don't Say No. This is influenced by the inclusion now of Roscoe and Rebop have entered the situation. Although the Can gentlemen are still driving the ship for the most part. Don't Say No. It's really nice. Call Me is an interesting one from Roscoe. Fly By Night, really nice. Animal Waves, I like too. So, I mean, I think this record is a little stronger. I think it's a little stronger than some of the ones that have been portrayed from there. A lot of people put this one down and put this towards the bottom. I like it a lot. I like to Come With Me. We will have a good time. In fact, I've always kind of fantasized about having that being part of if you have a really good band, man, you could weave that into the beginning of something and really hype it up. It sounds like a good theme for something like that. Don't Say No. There's some great things online. There's a real good performance of that online. I don't know if it's on Kirshner's Rock Concert, if it was one of the other in concert things. Let's move on forward, man. Let's move on to number 5, which I have from 1976. I have the really interesting and beautiful in many, many ways Flow Motion. This is a quartet again. This is the core for, Jack A, Caroli, Zuke, Schmidt. I Want More, Cascade Waltz. A lot of humor on this. Laugh Till You Cry, Live Till You Die, and more. Kind of a disco thing. They're bringing the disco into this, but it's really nice. Flow Motion is really nice. The way Flow Motion's got these stops and starts and just beautiful sound. It almost sounds like some of the synth stuff that Schmidt's doing almost sounds like a violin at times. It's really, really beautiful. Babylonian Pearls are really nice too. Her vocals on that. It's okay. I mean, I'm not, some of the vocals on this Smoke actually is Zuke's on, but Cascade Waltz is really cool. I Want More, of course, really, really is a nice, I can't imagine that it could have missed if it would have been a little bit later, perhaps, this is recorded when it was. It would have been in the 80s. That would have been a disco smash, I would think. It was just a nice move forward. But anyway, Flow Motion, a really underrated period for them. 1976, number 5. Number 4, I do not have it. Believe it or not, I don't have it. I have a reissue of it. I don't know where it is. It's the early record from 1969, Monster Movie. And Monster Movie, as we said, was the introduction of Malcolm Mooney. Malcolm Mooney was the first singer, very percussive effect to these songs. They were longer songs. In fact, the second side of the record is 20 minutes long. You Do Right, where you're just getting this da-na-na-da-na-na-na-na. It's just wonderful. Outside My Door, Mary, Mary, So Contrary is kind of funny. That he goes all that. My father cannot yell, but it's the thing about Malcolm's there a lot more. Malcolm sings over probably more of the track than Down with it. Tim was a little more selective. Malcolm becomes more of like an instrument, the way he sings. And it's really interesting to hear his relationship again with the drums. This is fantastic stuff. There's nothing else like this. You're not going to find it anywhere. And that's why I find it number 4, 1969. Good luck, getting the original cover. And I know they did some reissues with the original cover, and that's great. But I think on their original label, that's going to be about as hard as that Prefab Sprout thing that I showed you before. Maybe even harder. Heck, some of the very high prices on some of this krautrock stuff. But that was my number 4 Monster Movie. Number 3 is the famous Okra on Top masterpiece here by the name of, hold on a second here, Ege Bamyasi. I don't have it here in front of me either. So you have to, yes I do, of course I do. Here it is. Dun, dun, dun. Ege Bamyasi, man. Ege Bamyasi, of course I do. This is the one that caused the quandary. This had the hit of dun, dun, uh, 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 I got a spoon in the afternoon. Big hit, big hit, big hit, big housewife hit, big playing on the television in Britain. Big deal here. Vitamin C, of course, big. Soup, a nice miasma of whatever you want to call it. I'm So Green. Of course, Spoon was the hit, and it was a hit. This was a cutout. I think Thurston Moore talks about this being in Woolworths. I agree. This is one of the ones in Woolworth that blew my mind. You had this. You had some Westbound stuff in Woolworth at the time. Finch, One More Night, Sing Swan Song, of course, beautiful too. Just this is probably Jackie's, or not Jackie, but probably Damo's nicest era, his most polite era, the most pop they ever got. I don't know if they were steering towards that. I think it maybe accidentally happened, but it did happen, and that is number 3. Now let's go to number 2, which I do not have either, and number 2 is the one here that I can't believe I don't have here. This is the one I believe is on loan. I'm going to have to either do that or buy another one. There's no way I didn't have this, because this, in many ways, is my favorite record. This is 1973's August 73's pastoral release, Future Days. Future Days is blissful. I think it's really probably their peak as a band. You know, Bel Air, just beautiful. The whole second side, again, they had the same thing. The first side, a couple songs. Uh, Spare Light, they call, Bel Air. But it's just Bel Air's beautiful, not aggressive either. Just and there's a lot of space on this record. Especially the song Future Days takes a long time to build. And you just hear Damo just kind of singing from far away and gets closer. As the future gets closer, it's beautiful. Spray, of course, it's just a light. Just what it says. The name is perfectly. And then you've got Moonshake to end up here with Jackie Chip marching you out here on side one. This is really one of the great records. I would put this as one of the top. I'd put this as a 5-star record, no, without question. This one is a 5-star one. I have this there. I probably have Ege Bamyasi at 4.5, close to 5. This one at 5. And then, of course, my number one. The number one Weird Out for everybody and everything, and the one that everybody's seen. And we might as well go to it right now. Tago Mago. United Artists here. What a record. There's not much like it. There's not much like it here. You've got side one, Paper House, Mushroom, with the drumming on this. Everything's coming together really here. They really sound like they're in their own world here. They sound like they're recording in their own place. They've got incredible sounds with the echo and with the chambers and stuff. Like, for instance, the sound they get on Mushroom. And then, to follow up, Mushroom's got such an echo to it, an echo chamber effects. It's just beautiful. Then, of course, side two, Hallelujah. Wow. Some of these songs with the editing and some of these things, these are scary, scary pieces. And you've got this stuff. You've got the beauty of the end of it, but you really got to get sides 2 and 3. And if you think side 2 was exhilarating and avant-garde, side 3 pushes it even more. We're Aumgn, Aumgn, however you want to pronounce that. Aumgn. Unbelievable. That's of all the songs on here, if you want to say what's the most scary, that is probably the whole scariest in the entire catalog. They really went out on a limb with this. And it is truly amazing to me that a United States company, even though United Artists pressed this in the United States, it makes me very proud to live in a country where that kind of thing can get a release, where somebody can hear that kind of music and say, let's take a chance on it. Listen to these sides 2 and 3. You should to get some perspective on how out there it is. That's why I love it. I didn't know anything about it for a long time. But anyway, let's go with the side 4, Peking O, Bring Me Coffee or Tea. Pretty normal compared to stuff. It could go on Future Days or something like that. But this, my friends, is the avant-garde one, and it is the best one. It's unusual you say that most of the time, the pop stuff. If you really want to start on that and you really want to get into the band, this is 1971 release, by the way. This is a 5-star release. It's the best. My suggestion to you, if you're really starting out and you want to try something new, I would try Ege Bamyasi probably first, or Future Days before you tackle into this one. This is a hardcore stuff, but once you hear this, you realize kind of what they're more about live, and you venture into some of those other live things. There are plenty of those. You've got the things here, like you've got the unlimited edition. I didn't count this. Some people would. There's a lot of great stuff here. Gomorrah here, Cutaway Connection. There's some nice stuff. These the what they call the EFS series. There's a bunch of the whole side. Pretty much have that. Some other ones. Great record. The 4 of them. The 4 guys. And anyway, I want to thank them for having done what they've done and playing the role that they played. I'm sure they were not in a situation where it was a real lucrative situation. Maybe they had a little bit of backing, a little bit of fun, but for the most part, they lived the life of true artists and made music like that. And I wish I would have known about them a lot earlier. But I'm very fortunate to have done so, and I still listen to them all the time. And maybe we can move forward with some other krautrock stuff here. Maybe I'll do the Nui records, or do something else here that I know something about. I just don't want to venture into things that I have to do a lot of work on that I don't know, because I don't know when I can get to some of those. Have some plans to do some of that stuff, and we'll move forward. Like I said before, we have some collaborations coming. We're going to do some more. But I appreciate your patronage here, and I would ask you to if you would. Please leave your comments and leave your list if you have any discussion about any of these records that you feel is important. A lot of people I've heard feel that the rebop era is underrated, and like I say, I love. And me, for instance, I like Flow Motion. Some people might not like Flow Motion as much. I like Solar Light, actually. But anyway, Ken, great band. Wish I'd have known about him earlier. A lot of us feel that way out here, but now that we do, it's great. Everybody buy these when you can see them, when you can find them. I guess some of them are pricey sometimes, but long live Can, man. Long live the spirit of Can, and I would urge you to check out any of the documentaries or anything else you can find out about them. Thanks a lot for hanging out tonight, and we'll catch you again next time with something fresh. Thanks again.